We are back live from Mesa, Arizona for the sector qualifier. I'm Josh Snyder, and this time around we are joined by a very special guest, none other than Pasquale himself. Pasquale, so good to have you here as we get ready for round three in the sector.
Yeah, it's been obviously a interesting day so far with our internet here, but the matches have been great. So for those people who've been sticking it out, really fascinating matches for round one and two here.
Absolutely. We saw Kylo Ren Data Vault take down the current boogeyman of the format, Han2 ECL, in round one. That was John Tata taking down his opponent. Then we saw George the Hulk Hudson in round two with a spicy Cad Bane Tarkentown taking down Emperor Colossus. And this round, it looks like the feature match, we're going to have Sabe Tarkentown versus Han 2 Blue Force. Should be
Wow.
interesting. These Tarkentown decks against the Han 2. Of course, this is, if you're running a Tarkentown deck, this is kind of what you're looking for, right, Pasquale?
Yeah, especially with Sabe popping up a lot lately, especially with Tarkentown. If you were to dive deep into the stats right now, at the top table, Sabe is actually the highest performing leader right now with Tarkentown. So it'll be interesting to see how she does against, a well-established deck here in Han 2 Blue Force.
Yeah, absolutely. Han 2 Blue Force, really the big deck in the Legends of the Force meta. And coming into this meta, it started to die down a little bit in terms of its numbers, but over the last couple weeks, we've really seen the numbers tick back up for Han2 Blue Force. It's had some great runs in planetary qualifiers and was very close to reaching the top cut in Tilburg. So we'll see how Han2 Blue Force positions its way here today. What do you feel about this current meta, Pasquale? What are your thoughts right now on how we're looking at the meta?
I mean, it's really interesting, right? I mean, my last event was at the Beatle 2, and then I had to go away for a little while, and that's where I'm streaming from the Caribbean Sea here, keeping tabs on everything while I do some work on a cruise ship. And we left the meta in a really interesting place with all these green hero decks really taking off because they just got so many tools. So it's interesting to see people pivot back towards the blue red package and this Tarkentown package to try and combat all of the tools that we thought were kind of unbeatable in Anakin and Yoda and Han2 ECL. But we're seeing that people think maybe if I pivot back to these strong units with really powerful effects, maybe I can bridge the gap to the late game of a Bo-Katan or a Crate Dragon against these control decks. It's a really interesting seesaw we're seeing right now.
Yeah, it absolutely is. It almost feels kind of now this is obviously a very narrow look at things, but just in my mind, it feels very rock paper scissors in the terms of we have Yoda Data Vault that was on top. Han2 ECL is kind of coming in and swooping in, kind of taking over that spot, pushing Yoda aside a little bit. And then you have these Tarkentown decks that can play a great spoil to the Han2 deck. So, of course, we have several other great decks in the meta than just those three. But it does feel that way in terms of you look at Yoda Data Vault and Han2 ECL, the best performing decks right now in the meta. And then, of course, Tarkentown, great against Han 2, but not so great against Yoda. But in this particular matchup, as I mentioned, we're going to see Sabe Tarkentown versus Han 2 Blue Force. We have Veers on the left piloting Sabe, and it's Alex Krez on the right piloting Han 2 Blue Force. And we are getting ready. Looks like Alex Krez will start with the initiative in game one.
Yeah, as you said, I think it's interesting that Tarkentown not so great against Yoda, but I think that's why people are picking the Sabe leader to try and foil those "You're My Only Hope" plans. And I think that's why you're seeing Yoda kind of being attacked from two different angles, and why we're seeing kind of more of a rise in Han 2 now. So looks like they're keeping their hands. Yeah, it seems like it. They're happy.
It looks like the player is getting set, waiting on that last resource decision from Alex. Alex Krez, top eight finish at the Portland
Mhm.
sector qualifier, was seventh. He's got a PQ win as well. Alex really doing a great job. 215 points on that leaderboard. He's going to start out with the initiative and starting out with that fantastic turn one play for Han 2. We've got Grogu coming out early, and Sabe is going to do the trick here. Two one-cost space units, which is exactly what you want to see.
Yeah, that is not the opening that that Sabe wanted to see a Grogu able to free kill either one of these ships now, healing itself back up to full. Um, yeah, you really were hoping for like a daring raid or something on the other side so you can Tarkin Town that Grogu, but now you're in a little bit of trouble here. Hantu gets to free activate every turn.
Yeah, that Grogu's just devastating against the cheap space units. That action ability used Grogu healing himself, 2 damage dealt to that crackshot V-Wing. Now we are going to see the A-Wing get in for 2, first base damage of game 1. The Sabe triggered ability. Veers taking a look at Alex Krez's top 2 cards and will discard one of them, going to discard Chirrut Imwe, that 4-cost Sentinel, and send it back over to Alex.
Yeah, kind of an interesting choice. I wonder what the other card was. Sabe Tarkin Town seems to be pretty heavy space, so sure, not the most scary thing, but it's going to be interesting to see how this Grogu gets handled. I mean, if there's no answer, I think we're going to see a very fast snowball on the other side for Han 2 Blue Force.
Turn 1 Grogu, really one of the strongest possible plays, especially in a matchup like this for this Han 2 deck. Alex Krez here on the second action phase, still 3 resources to work with.
Yeah,
We see Millennium
comes for the
Falcon. Falcon piece of junk coming out, and it's an immediate response with Entrenched. So Falcon will get +3/+3, will not be able to attack Alex's base.
yeah interesting choice to entrench because it can just go back to the hand. So just saved himself 3 damage. We'll see if that comes back maybe to haunt Alex. Or maybe that's the 3 damage that can swing the game. But an interesting choice to kind of use the entrenched there on a unit like that.
Yeah, maybe just didn't have another play there and felt like saving the 3 for 2 resources was worth it. Now Alex ready to go. We're going to see the A-Wing once again getting in for 2. That Sabe ability used. What will we discard this time? It's another Chirrut,
Oh,
so
two
Veer's
gone.
getting through the Chirruts.
Yeah.
The action back over to Alex with 4 resources.
It
Grogu.
is interesting here that Sabe was able to get rid of 2 playable units that Alex then was maybe forced, like you said, to play that entrenched.
See that Han action ability being used. The Itinerant Warrior coming out for just 3 resources, a shielded 4/2 essentially here after that 2 damage. And it's going to be the stolen AT hauler for Veers, but now with that damage on Itinerant Warrior Grogu, action ability used, Itinerant Warrior healed back up, and 2 damage will take out the space unit. The A-Wing is defeated.
Yeah, if you're seeing in Veers' hand, there's been a sanctioner shuttle for a few turns now, but unable to get coordinate on because of Grogu. So really unfortunate. That really nice answer in hand the whole time, but unable to keep those units on board.
The game plan for Veers right now, just be as aggressive as possible in space. We see Han Solo has his moments coming out, piloting the stolen AT hauler, allowing Veers to attack right away. That's 6 damage into Alex's base, up to 10 in total. And that stolen AT hauler putting up 6 damage a turn. You know, we're on a 3-turn clock if nothing else were to change for Alex.
Yeah, the Han does put it in Fell the Dragon range, so he's got to be careful because that could easily just kind of end the game for him if Alex can play that hauler on his own board. But if there's no answer, the game is going to get out of hand pretty quickly. I think 6 damage a turn is devastating when you're running 28 HP and you've had to play an itinerant or to heal nothing.
That's absolutely right. Itinerant Warrior does get in for 4 into Tarkin Town. We see Millennium Falcon coming out, and now we're going to see Mace Windu. The Force is used, and 4 damage immediately dealt to the piece of junk. Alex stopping another 3 damage that could have came through in the space arena on this turn.
Mm-hmm. I think I'd another entrenched in Alex's hand, so he might have that answer ready for that hauler. But Sabi's going to be able to take a look now and maybe strip that out. So we'll see. And he knows what he's drawing because he did stack the top of the deck this turn. So he's going to be fully aware of the entire hand.
It's a great point. Sabe Coming into base for 4, 14 damage on Alex's base. He'll take a look at his options. You called Entrenched. Entrenched is in hand. We see Ogdo Bogdo Entrenched and Luke Skywalker, the Jedi Knight.
Yeah, really tricky decision because next turn the Luke can come down with that Han Solo ability. But yeah, the Entrench is a little scarier.
The immediate answer to that stolen AT hauler. Taken out. Alex Krez does have the initiative.
And he chose not to deploy his Han Solo there. He'd rather have the initiative than deal any damage starting down.
Stolen AT hauler has a total of 8 HP with 2 damage, so 6 HP remaining. We are going to see Mace Windu taking out the Sabe leader unit. 1 HP will be remaining on Mace Windu. Excuse
So
me,
no, the
3
Grogu healed.
HP.
Yeah, the Grogu's been putting in the work, really.
But here it is, the stolen AT hauler. Once again, another 6. It's 20 damage on Alex's base.
This is very scary. One surprise strike can end the game next turn if he can't deal with this stolen AT hauler. Despite all of the disruption, we are 1 pump away from potential game if he has no healing this turn.
Absolutely right. Itinerant Warrior getting in. Another 4 damage. Has done all the damage so far to Veers' base. We're going to see Tarkin Town taking out Mace Windu.
It may be a bit of a blunder there by not using the Grogu to get that mace out of range, but he might be saving it for the Luke. Oh, he's yeah. If he plays the Owen with Han, he won't be able to play the Luke unless he deploys. Yeah, he's going for the Luke.
There it is. Okay. Luke Skywalker, the Jedi Knight, giving stolen AT hauler -6, -6. It's enough to take out the threat that had to be dealt with. We do see Millennium Falcon get out and push as the response. Veers immediately pushing back into the air with another Falcon. But 2 damage will be quickly put onto the Falcon with Grogu's action ability healing Luke up. Veers claiming the initiative. Now we see Han Solo deployed. Owen Lars coming out for free here with a couple damage with that Han action ability and 3 more damage to Veers' base. Things really starting to add up now, and Alex has a massive ground arena, including restore with that Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, there's about what's that? I think it's 14 damage if he chose to attack with the Grogu and 5 restore on the board. It's looking pretty good for him now, despite being at 20 HP.
Yeah, it does appear that Alex is getting closer and closer to stabilizing the Millennium Falcon. Get out and push, only threatening 3 right now. Of course, something like another Han Solo has his moments, could push another 3 and attack immediately, but you'd still be 2 damage short. And then Alex can heal with that Luke Skywalker. And there it is. It's another Han Solo has his moment. So Millennium Falcon, get out and push, getting +2, +3, +2, +3, attacking right away and getting the additional buff because it has a pilot on it. So 26 damage on Alex's base, 2 HP remaining. And even with the restore here, you have to have an answer for that Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, the Luke can get you back down to 23, and then you're at 5 HP. Gonna be pretty tight here. If there is another Falcon in hand, that can at least pressure the base or kind of erase that Luke restore. But I think that Owen's restore is what really might push this in Alex's favor in the end.
Yeah, that additional 2 restores. So it's a total of 5 that Alex could restore here. Will it be enough? Does Veers have any other way to pressure as both players appear to be talking through something here, just trying to get that
Yeah,
life puck squared away.
yeah, it turned off, and I think they were just confirming that it was at 11 damage, which it was.
There it is, the Jedi Knight dealing 6 damage to Tarkentown, 17 damage on, restoring 3, down to 23 damage on base goes Alex. And A-Wing coming out. But again, that 2 restore could be massive here. Owen is going to restore 2, leaving Alex with a 7 HP buffer, meaning that Millennium Falcon is 1 damage shy. We are going to see BD1. Now, that BD1 will give the Millennium Falcon that 1 additional power here. When played, you choose a unit while BD1's in play. That chosen unit will get +1 power and Saboteur. So Alex will still need to answer this Falcon.
Yeah, but the Grogu's one attack is
Oh, it's enough,
exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yes, I miscounted. I thought he was 1 short. He had just enough. So the BD1 a little bit late to the party. Millennium Falcon can't get there for Veers. Alex able to stabilize in game 1. What
Yeah,
a
didn't
great game.
I called that Mace Windu Tarkenton a blunder, but it seemed to be just bait for the Luke. I wonder if actually the blunder was on Veers for even letting the Luke kill the hauler.
Yeah, that's such a good point because Alex had to get a friendly unit defeated to turn on that -6/-6 to have the answer for Hauler. I think that's an incredible point. The
And
Hauler was
Veers knew
still on
Luke
board.
was
Veers may have had it there.
yeah, but he knew the entire hand. And maybe he just forgot or didn't. Yeah, maybe he clearly didn't remember that he had seen the Luke. And if he Tarkentown the Mace, then there's an answer to the hauler.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's one thing, whenever you're playing these blue heroism decks, you have to be very mindful of Luke Skywalker and sometimes try and avoid possibly defeating one of your opponent's units if they can't do it themselves, just to dodge that -6/-6. That can be absolutely detrimental, and it appeared to be in game 1.
Yeah, and we saw Alex use that entrenched early on the Falcon for almost no value, but in the end, that 3 damage he saved kept him in the game because with that, he would have been defeated at 29 HP on the base. So that 3 HP coming back, there's so many little moments that really turned the tide of this game from that entrenched that seemed a little silly to then Tarkentown and ending up costing Veers the game there.
Such a good point. We were curious about it, the entrenched on the Falcon, because it could just get bounced right back to hand, but such an excellent point, Pasquale. That 3 damage absolutely mattered in the end and allowed Alex to take the victory over a Tarkentown deck, a deck that you want to try and avoid as you're running Han too, but right now Alex in a great position as both of these players look to remain undefeated.
Yep. Especially with the Grogu opening, if Alex can, aggressively mulligan for that card, he will be feeling good despite the Tarkentown on the other side. So we'll see if I assume that's going to be his game plan again. We'll see if Veers maybe has some daring raids or some sort of turn 1 answer for the Grogu because he can't let that be there the entire game again.
Yeah, it's a really great point. Grogu could play another major role here in game 2. Alex has had a ton of success in Portland. We talked about the top 8 finish at the Portland sector. He was also the 2019 Star Wars Destiny Portland regional champ. So quite quite a lot of success in Portland. And now Alex looking to try and replicate some of that success here in Mesa as Alex goes for the mulligan here in game 2.
Yeah, like I said, probably aggressively mulliganing for that Grogu. It essentially makes Tarkentown null and void. Your opponent starts out with 5 less HP for essentially no benefit. And that game we saw, all it did was turn on Luke Skywalker and flip the game. So if he can find the Grogu turn 1, he'll be feeling really good going into this match.
As we get ready to start game 2, again, a huge thank you to the sponsor, Metal Fab. sponsoring McClunky Gaming, providing these excellent McClunky Gaming Initiative tokens. Again, the link in the description for the giveaways that are going on throughout the weekend. Here we go, Alex. And these 6 cards. Does he find the Grogu again? Does Veers have a response this time if he does?
It doesn't look like there's a Grogu in hand, but it's a little tricky with the prestige versions to fully tell. But I'm not seeing that very white background on the Grogu. That I see a Force Lightning though, but not a Grogu.
Comes the tough decision of what to resource. What does this opening turn look like for Alex?
Yeah, with Han 2, obviously you have so many options for turn 1 plays, but a lot of them do involve using the Han 2 ability, which is just going to essentially give your opponent 1 free card because of the Tarkin Town. And it doesn't look like he's got the options he wants to avoid that from happening on turn 1.
Yeah, that's a great point. Having a 6 HP unit come out with 2 damage gets around that Tarkin Town, but without Grogu, it's really the only option to throw out a 6 HP unit on turn 1. Here we go. Veers will start things out with the Wolfpack Escort. And we are going to see Karis Nemec coming out for Alex. We've got the Crackshot V-Wing as well. So again, another double 1-cost space unit start for Veers.
Yep, Nemec's a good start, but it's an aggressive start. It's not the defensive start he had last game, and we saw that defensive start play dividends at the end because he was able to narrowly avoid defeat despite the space onslaught. So Nemec, while good aggressively and good into a lot of other ground game decks, this Sabe deck is very space focused, so it's not really what he was hoping for.
Yeah, such an excellent point. Nemec, one of the best 2-cost units in the game, but in this position, when you're facing down a very aggressive space strategy, definitely doesn't look quite as ideal. We're going to see aggressive negotiations right out of the gate here on turn 2 for Alex. And a swing for 6 into Tarkin Town, so Alex being aggressive as well. And now we're
Yep,
going to
like I
see that
said, it's an
Wolfpack
aggressive
Escort get in.
and it's so he's playing the racing game this time. He realizes he might not have the time to handle all those space units.
Well, this is a pretty big discard off that Sabe trigger, discarding Luke Skywalker, the Jedi Knight, off the top. A total of 4 damage into Alex's base. We see Millennium Falcon, piece of junk coming out as well. That will enter play ready. It's another 3 that gets into base. 7 damage on Alex Krez's base. And it's 6 damage on Veers' base.
Yep, a lot of the criticism of the Sabe leader is oftentimes you look at the top 2 cards and both are kind of okay for your opponent to draw. So she's kind of essentially drawing your opponent maybe something better, but there might not be a better discard than Luke Skywalker Jedi.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I don't know that it gets much better than Luke. Nemec in for 3 brings Tarkin Town up to 9 damage on base. Falcon responds with 3 as well. It's 10 damage on Alex's base, and as they go back and forth here, Veers is still positioned with another 4 damage in the space arena, 3 resources. We are going to see Poe Dameron quick to improvise coming out on the 4 resource turn thanks to Han's action ability. Now let's see what happens off the Sabe trigger this time with Wolfpack Escort dealing another 2 damage to base. It's 12 damage on Alex's base, and this time it is entrenched discarded. And we know that that could absolutely be a factor as well, stopping a massive space unit.
Yeah, with Poe on the board now, next turn, Sabe's base, that Tarkin Town could get all the way up to 20 in the blink of an eye. So yeah, the entrenched could easily be the racing tool that Alex needed this time. He's in a little bit of a trouble here, trying to swarm and hope that his Oh, but there we go. There's a daring raid.
Oh, that's huge. Daring raid, dealing 2 more damage to Poe. He only had 2 HP remaining. Epic action from Tarkentown. Poe Dameron unit is defeated, and Veer is able to swarm the board further, playing Leia Organa into the ground arena, a Republic Y-Wing in the space arena, and now Veer's in great control and in position to race very effectively.
Yeah, the way he was spreading out his hand, I thought it was going to be 2 units to the ground arena. He totally had me fooled. But that daring is exactly what he needed to essentially end the game. It feels like there's just not enough damage on Alex's side now. We'll see if there's
Such
a response, but these colors don't often run too many space sentinels.
Such a terrific card in that spot. Daring Raid is really the great way that this Sabe Tarkentown deck has to get that damage it needs to turn on Tarkentown. And in that spot, it was crucial. Now, Alex with the initiative, Karis Nemec left alone as the only unit on Alex's side of the board. 4 cards in hand. Let's see what he has to work with here on the 5 resource turn, but staring down a ton of damage just in the space arena alone. We are looking at 8 damage currently in the air.
Yeah, 8 in the air, 2 on the ground. The Sabe flips. It's not quite lethal, regardless. But if there's a pump or something, and I think that's what Alex says, he's running the numbers, trying to hope that he can stop some of it. Um, and it's sure it is just going to shore up the ground arena, so he's going to be taking a lot of damage in the air.
Falcon coming through first. 3 damage to Alex's base. Sabe trigger, Cassian Andor is discarded as we trade some damage back and forth. 12 damage on Tarkentown as Nemec swings in. But now Veer's in a great position. The space lane remains open as the base goes up to 19. Han Solo is deployed. 21 damage now on Alex's base. The question is, what else is in Veer's hand? Do we have any more pumps? We're going to get in for one. It's 22 damage on Alex's base, 15 damage on Veer's base. It looks like Alex is going to claim.
What's really fascinating here is something like an aggressive negotiation, the second one on Alex's side, is actually going to make this extremely close to the point where he might actually get there with 2 actions because it's going to take Veer's 2 actions. So if he's able to get initiative, he might have enough damage to actually close out this game with an aggressive negotiation.
That would be wild to say the least. We've got the ground arena as Veers deploys Sabe. Both Leia Organa and Sabe units going in and taking out Chirrut Imwe. Leia Organa is defeated in the process. Sabe remains on the board with 3 HP remaining.
Yeah, there's an aggressive in that hand. I can't fully see it, but that would be a pump of 4 on the Nemec, bring him to 22, and then Han can close the game in 2 actions. But he would need a second one and no resource.
As it stands currently, Veers could also close the game out in one action with something like a surprise strike onto one of these units in the form of Sabe or Millennium Falcon to deal the 6. So there are ways for Veers to close this out, possibly in one action.
Yep. Looks like a kind of a math discussion here.
Yeah. That's absolutely right. What does Alex have in his hand? It doesn't appear he has anything to solve this math problem, and that is going to do it for game 2. Veers taking it, and we are going to see a game 3 between Veers and Alex Krez. Sabe Tarkentown, Han 2 Blue Force going the distance as both of these players trying to get to 3-0. We know that these players need to be at least X and 2 at the end of these 8 rounds to have a shot. If you get to X and 2 or score 18 points, you will be in day 2. And you'd love to go to 3-0. Take some of the pressure off. Get those losses later. If you lose at all, you'd hate to put the pressure on early.
Yeah, and inevitably that just makes your tiebreakers better when you lose later because those are also undefeated players. So all in all, it's just better all around. But as we saw in that game, no Grogu, those units got out of hand very quickly. But they were all 2 HP or under until that Y wing hit the field. So Grogu just controls this deck so well. So Alex, again, I think we're going to see an aggressive mulligan for a Grogu so that he can contend with all of those small space units.
Such a good point because in this particular matchup, Grogu is king, no doubt about it. An early Grogu put so much pressure on Veers. Now, if Veers on the flip side, the question is how aggressive is Veers and his mulligan in possibly looking for the daring raid to then
Mhm.
take out that turn one Grogu?
Yeah, at this point, I think he has to recognize that he also has to mulligan, even if he has that double one drop that he's had every game. It's not good enough into a Grogu, so he's got to find a daring rate as insurance, um, just so he can actually play. Because you saw game one, it was really hard for him to get anything going, and he managed to almost win despite that. But still, you can see how almost easy the game is if you can not have a Grogu on the other side of the field.
Right.
I think he ended with
Mysterious
what,
child.
5 or 6 units on this without the
Yeah.
Grogu in play.
The
So we'll
mysterious
see.
child, a real mystery in this Han 2 deck and absolutely brutal to anything that stands in the way of the Force unit.
Hmm. And
How
this is
incredible.
very reminiscent of the Legends of the Force meta, where Han was so
Yeah.
dominant. On the other side, you saw space strategies like Vader and things trying to combat him by just dodging the ground arena because those ground force units are so powerful. So this is almost like, even though it's a very different deck and leader in Save, it's very reminiscent to when Han was dominant just a few months ago.
Yeah, those ground units. So good. We've talked a lot about Grogu, but the Force units in general, the Itinerant Warrior, the Chirrut Imwe, just such impactful units. On the 4 resource turn can of course be played early in Han 2, and then we saw Mace Windu, the other Force unit, taking great advantage of the Force and playing a big role in game one.
Yep. Alex did not take a mulligan, so to me that says
Didn't.
he found the Grogu, or maybe something like a grenade strike, some way to 2 for 1 the other side. But with no mulligan, that says to me that he might have found that Grogu right away.
Alex
And I
Perez
think I'm
with the
eyeing it
initiative.
next to his thumb.
Alex in that opening hand, absolutely. If you find Grogu, quick keep in this matchup could absolutely be the route to victory here in round 3. There it is, Grogu unit played down on turn 1. It's Leia Organa, not the start that Veers would want to see. We are going to see Leia ready a resource, but it will not do anything here for Veers. And that Grogu start has Alex right where he wants him.
Yeah, that's extremely rough, not having another one drop to play and having to play a 2 HP unit on the ground. This is going to be really tough for Veers now moving forward.
Grogu action ability cleaning up the Leia Organa as Grogu fully heals that 2 damage dealt to Leia. We see Cassian Andor played now from Veers, so a very different draw so far in game 3 for Veers, as it's all been ground units early, and the Itinerant Warrior coming out once again on the 3 resource turn thanks to Han's action ability. And now we've got more damage that Grogu can start throwing around.
Yeah, and with Grogu ready, Cassian can't even attack in Tarkin Town. He can just heal itself. There's so many awkward lines for Veers right now where Alex feels in a really powerful position with these 2 units specifically on the board.
Cassian Andor dealing 3 damage to Alex's base. Sabe trigger, Force Lightning is the card discarded. The other one on top there was another copy of Cassian Andor, Alex's own copy of Cassian.
Yeah, that's a wild decision to turn on the dark side of Anakin for Alex potentially opening up a -6 on the Han flip turn. I think I would have just chosen the Cassian myself, but he was scared of the Force Lightning, so we'll see if he made the right choice in the end.
The Itinerant Warrior going to deal 4 damage to Cassian Andor, just losing the shield token. Now that Tarkin Town quickly cleaning up the Itinerant Warrior. And here comes Poe Dameron, quick to improvise on the 4 resource turn. Han Solo action ability used once again. Poe Dameron will be left with 4 HP remaining, just out of range of that 3 power Cassian.
Yeah, I think there's a Whaley in Veers' hand, but not being able to establish board presence. Oh yeah, it's still really rough. Yes, it's just a Grogu, but he's also not able to put any pressure on the Hantu Blue Force. And the later this game goes, the better the Hantu Blue deck gets, while Alex's deck stays roughly the same. It's very tempo oriented, very small units. And eventually, if we get to something like a Bo Katan, there's just almost no way for Veers to close out the game.
I think Alex is totally fine with that specific set of events there. I end with Grogu on turn, only 3, or Grogu the only play, the only unit in play, 3 damage on the base. Alex still in a very, very good spot, even with the Poe bounced. Veers has the initiative, but needs to replenish the board quickly here.
Yeah, and crucially, Tarkentown was used on the Itinerant Warrior, so Grogu has real free roam now on the entire game. It's so hard for this deck to deal 6 damage without a pump. And that's obviously not where you want to use your surprise strike or maybe something like a breaking in on. You do not want to use that on a unit. So it's going to be really tough for Veers here on out.
Alex Krez in a great spot. We are going to see the stolen AT hauler come out. Now that stolen AT hauler did a lot of work in the first game and just about got Veers across the finish line. Grogu moving damage around. 2 damage healed from Grogu, 2 onto the stolen AT hauler. As now Veers for the first time in game 3 starting to pressure the space arena just a little bit as the Wolfpack escort comes down. But Alex deploying his leader Han Solo, getting into Veers' base.
Yeah, and it's a really rough moment to be in because even if we knew that he didn't have a Poe potentially coming down, the fact that Wolfpack has 1 HP, Grogu has 1 damage on it, um, interesting. Oh
And
no,
there
but
is the Anakin Skywalker -3 to both of those units. You talked about the Force Lightning being in the discard pile. Put the Itinerant Warrior there as well. -3. Space Arena cleared. And now the stolen AT Hauler is played by Alex. Sabe is deployed. The BD1 comes down. So Sabe with +1 power and Saboteur getting into base for 5 here. But that is a major turn of events here in game 3.
yep, and Alex had to do no work to turn on that Anakin. It was a Tarkin Town and a Sabe discard. And he said, "Thank you very much. I will very quickly play that Anakin and just keep the Poe for later." And that was discarded, but he's in a commanding position now with that hauler on his own side of the board.
Absolutely. Alex Krez, a part of Blue Milk Gaming. You can check out his YouTube channel, Blue Milk Gaming. Does some great work over there with him and his team. And looking to go 3-0 here with the initiative. Alex Krez taking out BD1. That's going to remove the buff from Sabe. But now Sabe, the lone unit for Veers. Hotshot
Yeah,
Blaster coming out. Veers going to swing for 6 with Sabe.
a little. Oh, I see. He has 2 shirts. Okay, he wanted the Saboteur gone, but I was still surprised. I think you're in a big commanding position here to just kind of go to base with a lot of your units. But having 2 shirts and then there's this awkward Saboteur. Now the BD1 attack makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, the Chirruts will certainly help in the ground arena. What will be the discard here? Does he discard anything?
As weird as it sounds, I feel like I'd actually get rid of the Constable, so my Sabe at least probably take something with it when
Right.
it gets attacked, and
That
that
is the
was his
play.
choice. But yeah. Again, I'm not sure if I'm Alex, if I'm even worried about the Sabe at this point with no Saboteur, but I think the Constable was the correct choice for Veers in a really tough spot here.
Here comes Mace Windu once again, leaping into action, using the Force, dealing 4 damage to Sabe. Now Veer's just putting a unit in the space arena, playing the disabling Fang Fighter.
Yeah, now the Grogu can finish off the Sabe, so doesn't even need to attack into it.
Continuing to do nasty things here in this game. Sabe leader unit defeated. Veer's just claiming the initiative. Alex says you will have no board going into the next action phase. The stolen AT hauler cleaning up disabling Fang Fighter. And some damage coming through to Veers' base. 8 damage on Tarkin Town.
Yeah, the life buck giving both players a little bit of trouble here. So Alex is just moving to some tokens for base damage as this game comes to a close. Is a little bit of yeah. So there we go. Scoop is coming in, and that's the end of that.
Alex Krez taking it here in game 3, winning in game 1 and closing it out in game 3 to remain undefeated in Mesa, Arizona at the sector qualifier as he looks to have another top 8 finish in a premier sector qualifier.
Yeah, the difference of Grogu and no Grogu in those 3 games, pretty apparent for the Han 2 Blue Force deck. Um, so hopefully Veers can have a better mulligan next time into this deck. I don't even think he took one game 1, but maybe into his next game he can remember about the Grogu and that you have to mulligan for a daring raid, otherwise the game could just end on the spot.
Yeah, I feel like in game 3 it just really did. I mean, Grogu really put Veers in a spot where it almost felt like he wasn't able to get back in that game. We saw Grogu do some really good work in game 1, but it was a completely different start where Veers actually had the good early space plays. So while some of those cheap space units were being threatened by Grogu, he found the early Falcons, the early stolen AT haulers, and he was able to put good pressure and have some big HP units that dodged the Grogu. And he was so close, right? I mean, he was so close in game 1 to closing
Yep.
that out, even with the Grogu, but just couldn't quite get there. Wow.
Yeah,
But
but
we
again,
saw
the difference
Grogu's just
between
too good.
oh sorry, the difference between like a small unit, something like that A-wing, and a daring raid Tarkin Town can make the difference. So I just think it's so
Absolutely.
important for these Tarkin Town decks to really mulligan for a daring raid if you're playing them, because yeah, it just makes your life that much easier. There's no free kills anymore, um, and you won't get close. You'll be able to win the game. That extra 2 damage, you got him to 26. 3 damage here, 2 damage there. It all makes a difference, and Grogu was able to prevent so much damage.
What a match. Going the distance. Han 2 Blue Force. So our second Han 2 that we've featured so far today. We saw Han 2 ECL in round 1 fall to Kylo Data Vault piloted by John Tata. That's right, you heard it. John Tata running something that's not called Ray Data Vault in this tournament.
Check his sleeves. I don't believe it. I don't think it.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel right. But nevertheless, John Tata was able to claim the opening victory, and then we see the first iteration of Han 2 Blue Force on stream, and was able to take the victory. Now the
Yeah,
question
Han
is,
2.
oh, go ahead, Pasquale.
I was going to say Han 2, I think a leader that many people will not be sad to go in just a few weeks now. I think we're counting weeks here for me at least. Weeks until rotation, get rid of these Hans, but this so dominant in so many colors.
Yeah, it's
Very good
such a good
leader.
point. That leader has been good for quite some time. It seemed to really take off once we had Legends of the Force release. The Force version of Han 2 has really been a menace. but of course it was quite competitive before then as well. We saw Hantu Blue starting to create some waves in the meta at the end of the jump to light speed meta. Of course, in the jump to light speed meta, Hantu Data Vault was actually something that was quite popular and winning lots of PQs and having great finishes. So yeah, Hantu has been such a great leader, and it's one of those leaders that just gives you so much value with all of these different units. Just being able to play it out one turn early, sometimes it's all the difference. And then when you pair it up with things like Grogu that can start dishing out this damage, healing your units, and taking out opposing units in the process, it just becomes tough to beat sometimes.
Yeah, and being able to essentially only play the absolute best 2 drops and then just play 3 drops a turn early, even if it's got 2 damage, is a deck building thing that has just been really, really, really powerful. Even before the Hantu Data Vault, we had Sip who just won with Hantu ECL. Him and Benton were playing Hantu ECL back then as well, and doing
Yeah.
extremely well, top finishes at these big sectors and regionals and winning PQs. It's just a very, very powerful thing to be able to only play the absolute best 2 drops, whereas other decks maybe have to sacrifice some of their power just to ensure they have a turn one play. All the Hans can just have a turn one play whenever they want for the most part.
Yeah, you're right. Really just fixes your curves so well, and as you mentioned, really opens up your deck building, not having to put so many 2 cost units in the deck. Now, I do believe we are going to have an interview here very shortly with our winner of the round 3 feature match, Alex Krez. We should have that for you momentarily. And one other thing before we get to that interview, Pasquale, I know when we kicked off the stream, the big story, one of the big storylines has to be. Oh, here we go. I think we can hear Alex now. Alex, can you hear us? Yep, that's it. That's me. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm obviously 3-0, but like I haven't played Star Wars on a Saturday in Arizona. Like it doesn't get better than this. So, yeah.
Hey, you're off to a great start, undefeated.
Mm.
Talk to us a little bit about that match. That game one, that was interesting, right? You were so
Yeah.
close to just being taken out by that AT hauler that got loaded up, but you were able to kind of maneuver your way into
Right.
finding that answer and then turning the board around.
Yeah, I mean, Luke on 6, if you'd see any of my content on Blue Note Gaming, that's why I hammer it at home with this deck. It's why I'm playing the deck. A favorite card, favorite character. So like, it was a really tough choice when Max, shout out to Max, great player, played it really sharp. And when he had the Sabe trigger, he's entrenched in Luke, and either one is going to stop the hauler, right? So I don't blame him for stopping or taking the entrenched because Luke at least takes my whole turn. But I was lucky that I was able. So I had the line there. Before he targeted time my unit, I could have cheated out Owen, moved the damage with Grogu to turn on Luke, and then kill the hauler. So I had that in mind. But I was maybe a little too big brain for the play, but obviously worked out. And then yeah, game 2, I'll just being learning. I probably should have mulliganed there. I had the Nemec, but no good turn 2. But he had the crazy start with the double 1-drop into Falcon. So hard to beat that with these Sabe Tarkin Town decks, which is awesome.
Yeah, what as far as the matchups are concerned,
Mm-hmm.
what matchups are you really looking to find throughout the rest of the day, trying to get into day 2? What matchups are you really looking for, and what were your matchups previously in the first couple rounds?
Sure, yeah. So round 1, I played a Hantu ECL and a close game. Dropped game 1. I thought I did the math right. I thought he was off by 1. He had exact lethal with the ECL wrecker. So I lost that game 1 within 1-2 straight. Some pretty great draws that bailed me out once or twice, and then that's a really tight matchup that I think is very, very even. Then I played a Gart ECL, which I lost to my PQ last week, and saw all my entrenched cards. I love that card. The highlight for me was in game 2. After he plays Item Pilot on the Infernal 4 spaceship, I entrench it. He then confiscates it, and I immediately slam a second entrench on the same turn. And he was just like, he had to put his hands up and just be like, I guess that's card game sometimes. I drew more entrench than he drew confiscates. So that was like that match came down to that. Still very, very tight. And yeah, and so then back to your first question about the matchups. I like Hantu Blue 'cause I feel like I have game into pretty much everything. I think well, I don't know, avoid is the Cad Tarkentown, so maybe as a clear one since the Tarkentown base is a counter to Hantu's ability, and Cad with that pink, unlike Sabe, can have a built-in answer for that turn 1 Grogu, right? So want to dodge that, but in terms of what I want to see, I don't know. I don't like this. I don't want to jinx myself. I'm a little not superstitious, but I'm a little stitious. So I'll knock on some wood, but I don't mind seeing maybe a Yoda. But that Yoda still can take it down. So there's no free wins in this with this deck, or really with mini decks, right? There's this meta I think is great. It's very wide open. A lot of diversity. I'm looking around the tables and seeing a lot of the same meta contenders, but not seeing Django everywhere like we saw before, right? Back before his suspension. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, those are great points, and it's great to hear your perspective. Now, you've got over 200 points coming into this tournament, so obviously
Yep.
you are locked in to the Galactic Championship main event this year. What is your thought process right now? Are you aiming for the top 32 on the leaderboard?
That's the hope. That's the hope. Get as high as I can and see where it takes me. And I'd love to compete. I love this game. I've been playing card games competitively almost 10 years now, and we'll see. Obviously, I had a great run towards the end of the post fourth throw suspension. Getting the top 8 at the sector in Portland. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's not even look at the prizing. I could just take it a game at a time and one step at a time, because that's all we can do is take it one game at a time, even if we're 0-2 or 2-0 or whatever. So we'll see, man. But I'm having a great day. Great stream here by Claire and Tim and McClunky, and yeah, it's been awesome. Great. I love this community so much.
Yeah, it is a great community. Tim and Claire do so much hard work. We are so thankful for all that they do, and thank you for stopping by and taking your time to talk to us a little bit. Again, big congrats, and let's see if you can go back to back in top 8 finishes in premier sectors here in the States.
We will see. I know Mike Jem set a high bar with his double win. I joked with him, you had to just one up me, but no, my results are amazing. I'm having a great day. But yeah, thanks, Josh. Thanks for the great work you do as well. I'm looking forward to tuning in later and seeing the replay.
I appreciate it. Well, best of luck throughout the rest of the tournament. We'll talk to you soon, Alex.
Thanks, Josh. Take care.
Well, there you go. That was Alex Krez. So good to hear from him and his success that he's having. 3-0 to start here in Mesa, Arizona, as he's running Hantu Blue Force. Again, he finished top 8 in the last Premier Sector qualifier that took place in the United States last year